Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today's video I'm pretty excited for. I'm going to go ahead and put my veil on just because the sun is crazy today. It's at the perfect spot. But I'm excited for today's video because I don't think I've actually done a video on this yet. And we've actually been doing it for a couple of years now, but not on all of our hives. Like, this is just something we'll do every now and then on some of the hives that we want to keep through winter. Of course, we want all of them to make it through winter, but one of the things I talked about in my last video, I talked about kind of little ways that you can, just extra things you can do to get some of your hives through winter. And one of the things that I mentioned in that one was the apame boxes. Those do really great overwintering bees, especially like small hives. We have like a 7-frame apame box that really works well for some of those smaller nukes, and it just kind of gives them a little bit more warmth. But another thing you can do is a double screen board. So I want to talk about that today, and Bob Benny has a lot of good videos on it. I've heard him talk about it quite a few times, and it makes sense because they work really well and it's a smart thing to do. So I want to talk about it and how you can use it. They're really easy to use, but this is what they look like. So these are two different ones. This one you can buy from, I believe it's Hilco, and this is what it looks like. So it's basically just two screens, and there's about, I don't know, like this much in between each screen. And the reason for that is because you don't actually want the bees to be able to touch. So we're putting two hives together almost, but they're gonna stay separate. So I'll kind of talk about what that looks like. But this one here, it's basically the whole, it almost looks like a screen bottom board, and this whole thing is all screen. And I'll talk about why we're not using this one today. But this one actually has entrances on all four sides, and this is what the entrances are. So you just scoot these, and then there's your entrance. You can just close it like that, and then there's, oh, I guess there's only three. Yeah, there's only three, so you can just flip it if you need to. How do you open this? There, just like that. So then there's your entrance. So you can figure out which way you want it to go and then move it around. But the other one that we have here is actually made from an inner cover, and this is homemade from my dad, and it works great. But you can make your own, and basically just using an inner cover, cutting out a small little hole right here as an entrance, and then putting some type of screen on it and making sure that there's plenty of room that they can't actually touch each other, because if they do, then you're going to get stuff mixed around and that's going to cause problems. But if there's enough space in between those screens right there, they do really well. But we're going to use this one today, and the reason we're using this is because, let me explain exactly what a double screen board does. So typically it's going to go on top of a double deep. So we're going to use this hive and this hive right here, and basically I'm going to put this screen on as if it's the lid for this double, and then I'm going to put this single on top of that. So I'm basically putting another hive on top of this double here, and the reason for that is it kind of helps them get through winter, because of course the main thing about getting the bees through winter is going to be the warmth and keeping them nice and warm in there. And sometimes they don't have enough bee coverage for that, or whatever it is, maybe they're just not built up as much. Well, what you can do is use a strong hive to help out your smaller ones, because we're getting to that point in the year where the smoker is going insane today, where it's too late to be giving frames of brood at this point. So instead we can do a double screen. The reason I'm going to do this one today is because you can see there's a really small hole where the screen is on this one, but this right here, the whole bottom of it is screen. And so what that's basically doing is all of the heat that these girls are going to make through winter is going to go up into this hive right here. So that means you're really taking a lot of the heat that they have in here to keep them warm. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for them. That's why we're going to use this one, because it has a little bit of a smaller space for that heat to get through. So it'll kind of help out both hives, but we're still going to help these girls out quite a bit. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Now, I don't know if I've really gone through these ones in a minute, but I think it was this one a while ago that I checked, and their whole top box was just full of honey. And I think I'm just gonna open this lid up just to show you. So they've got a good bit of bees in there, and like I said, a lot of food. I can't lift that top box actually. So I'm going to close them up, and what I'm going to do is go through this hive right here, just check them out, see what they're looking like. Now, one of the reasons that people use a double screen is, let's say you have a queen that you really want to keep, maybe she has a specific VSH or whatever it is, and they just didn't end up really building up that much over winter or over springtime, summer, and all of that, or maybe it was a late queen. So that's what happened here. So this is a late queen that I think we probably just ended up randomly making, but it's still a hive and we still want them to get through winter. You can see they could be put into like a nuke box, but usually you don't want this to happen or else they're going to end up building a ton of wax. But like I said, they're really not that strong and there's not a ton of bees in here. But we still want to keep this queen because she is a new queen and we'll be able to use her for later. So it's almost as a resource hive-ish. So I've got a little bit of food in here. I just want to check to see where she's at, make sure that they're still looking all right. But there's a apigard in here. We can definitely pull that out now. There's not a specific time when you have to pull these out. You can keep them in there for a while, but I'm gonna go ahead and take that out because it's not doing anything. So there's a good amount of food in here. So they've got a good amount of food, but like I said, and you can kind of tell here, there's just not very many bees. Now, we have overwintered nukes, which is just like a 5-frame small nuke, and they do fine, but this is just gonna make sure that they really do get through winter with this double screen. So there's a small patch of brood. Smoker is insane. I'm getting to the point where I might have to retire my smoker that has all the stickers all over it. So that's why I'm using this one today, but like mine would never do that. Mine would just go out. So it's sad, but it might be time to get a new one. It's also getting to the point where it's too small and it doesn't last very long. I was gonna see if I could find the queen, but I might not. I don't know. She might be marked, but I don't think she is. Yeah, so she was a late queen. They just didn't really build up, but I still want them to get through winter, of course. I don't see her. I probably missed her, but that's okay. I did skip one of those frames. My luck, she was definitely on that one. But there's just a small patch of brood here. Well, let's go ahead and put them up, and I am going to feed them today, so I'll show that. The only thing about these is you won't be able to do bucket feeding on that bottom hive because their lid is that double screen, but you can do like a frame feeder. So then, also you might notice our bee yards are looking really bare, but we actually have a lot of other yards that we've started. These girls, this whole section over here was all resource hives. They were in double nukes. They ended up getting moved over to singles, and then they ended up getting moved to other yards. So it's looking a little sad, but that is one thing about winter. Okay, so then let me figure this out. Okay, so this entrance on this double deep is going that way towards the trees, and then this one is going straight over there. So I'm gonna make sure that their entrance is going the right way. Another thing is, so these girls have an entrance that's at the bottom. So you wanna make sure that the entrance here is flipped the right way, because if it was flipped like this, then this hive's not even gonna get anywhere, but these girls can come out. So you wanna make sure that it's going the right direction. I don't know if this, so same thing on these ones too. You wanna make sure it's going the right way. It actually looks like they have entrances on both sides here, so you don't have to worry, but if you're gonna do your own, you wanna watch that. So then this is basically their lid for the next however many months. And like I said, there's only this small little hole, but the heat that's gonna go through there and warm these girls up is gonna do a lot. So then we just have to move this over. And I'm gonna keep that feeder in there because it doesn't really matter at this point. Now, they were actually over here, this hive was, But over the last couple of days, you can move them about like a foot, I think it was. And we're just moving them over slowly and slowly and slowly. And then they got to this point. And then I'm going to put them on top of here. Now, it will kind of confuse them for a little bit, but they will eventually figure it out. You can move them like overnight and then put a bunch of grass at the entrance and kind of confuse them. That way they'll like reorientate and all of that. But we always tend to just move them and then they figure it out at some point. They also had an entrance reducer on here, so I'm going to take that off. And I am going to shake these bees into the hive here. And then they'll start to, you want to make sure that you get rid of everything right here. If not, that's the second time, 2 videos in a row, I get them in my veil. That's the only thing about not tying these is they do tend to get in there, but I would rather them get into my veil than actually tie it. But you want to remove everything because then they're just going to go back to that bottom board and just like cluster up on there. But like I said, they'll figure it out. And then these ones just get a normal lid, and it's kind of weird because a lot of people might ask about the queens kind of overlapping or something happening there, because all hives, you know, typically have one queen, so if you put another one in there, are they going to kill it? But because there's space in between those screens and the bees can't actually touch each other, there's no problem and it works really well. So then I want to put on a little bit of food here. I just have a bucket and I'm going to feed them, give them a little something. It's still nice outside. I mean, it's not that nice. We're in the 60s today. So we can still feed for a little while here, which is what we're gonna do. But, I mean, you can see they're a little bit confused here and they're starting to go down here, but they're figuring it out. So then both entrances are going separate ways and they basically are just 2 separate hives right now. That's about it. So we'll do this on some of our hives, our smaller hives that we want to get them through winter, and if they're right next to like a double, we'll do this. So anyways, if you want more information on it, I would recommend watching some other videos from Bob. He talks about it a lot, maybe has a little bit. I don't know if anybody has a video on how to make one. I feel like somebody does, but that kind of showed you what it looks like there. Or you can just buy one. Anyway, I think that's all on the double screens today. So thanks for watching today's video. Follow along for more bee adventures and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.